Hey y'all, hey. As y'all know, folks, NBA season back. If y'all ain't been tapped in, y'all need to tap in right now. NBA season back live. Crazy shit. Before we even get into that, y'all know what's going on, bruh. While I'm holding these hands up, go ahead and hit that like button while I'm holding these hands up. Don't let these bitches drop. Hurry up and hit that like button, twin. We need 10. Alright, them bitches dropping. Look though, spam more green heart for the splat. 10 likes on the video. Help the video get pushed out in the algorithm. Y'all know why y'all click this bitch. Welcome to the NBA, my nigga. Finna see what's going on. Hopefully they touch on the scary Terry shit. Type shit. My roommate been something on the plane. They should go send him in a goon. Send in the goon, send goon type shit.
He looks like Katie and Shaq mixed together, my dog. That's how I know you.
Yeah, look, if you got the NBA League Pass, you've been overly tapped in. If you got the you've been overly tapped in if you got the League Pass, bro. The preseason games is on the League Pass. If you like the regular season don't. The preseason games don't air on like the TNT and shit. You got to get it on the League Pass. So if you was in the League Pass, you seen Wemby going overly fucking crazy.
You watching the game? You're not watching the games, Pete. That's how I know you watching the game.
My brothers, it's a new NBA season.
Man, what the
and
fuck?
You know what that means.
Hey, that shit was so smooth. I thought it was an ad, my nigga. Let's do it on one time.
My brothers, it's a new NBA season, and you know what that means. New faces, new contenders, and a new batch of some of the most appalling takes you've ever seen in your life. And today, we're gonna take a look at some of these takes. The good, the bad, and the downright atrocious. Today's video is sponsored by SeatGeek. With the NBA season here, check out SeatGeek to handle all of your ticketing needs. The #1 rated ticketing app with hosts from tickets.
And I'm just sitting there looking at this shit.
This week, I took it upon myself to ruin a good NBA tip-off by rummaging through NBA social media for the hottest takes I could find.
NBA Twitter already on fire. Wait until like the middle of November, close to Thanksgiving. Niggas finna be going crazy on Twitter. Watch.
An endeavor that took me to some dark places, but a sacrifice I'm willing to make. I found some good ones, and I found some other ones. And among these hot takes, here are some of the more interesting ones I came across. Starting with this fan who says Victor Wembanyama will not only win Defensive Player of the Year this season, he will win it for the next 7 seasons in a row. And as crazy as this sounds, I feel like it's not even out of the realm of possibility. At the moment, Victor's preseason odds for Defensive Player of the Year are -175. The kid is favored over the rest of the NBA.
Not gonna lie, bro. It sound good and all, but like we just gonna let the video play, man.
And looking at his progression and his numbers from last season, it's clear why he's the heavy favorite. Here are the players with the highest stocks per game over the last decade. That's of course steals and blocks combined. And for even the biggest stat stuffers, averaging 3 stocks a game is a number that will earn you a DPOY, if not at the least, get you in contention. The players who achieve this mark are usually defensively versatile big men, and the largest total over the last decade belonging to Hassan Whiteside in 2016, with 4.2 stocks per
Whiteside
game.
was a demon.
Until Wemby blew that and every other total out of the
What's
water,
Wemby's?
with 4.8 stocks per game. Oh wait, those were his stocks as a rookie. Here's his number from last season. But stocks, although enough to persuade some voters, aren't necessarily a great measure of a player's defensive impact.
What talk to me then.
Measures, however, are metrics like crafted defensive plus minus and on-off splits. How big of an impact are you making on defense?
Fuck defensive, all around plus minus matter. If that nigga on the court, you sub bro in and y'all get the losing by 7.
And how does your team perform when you're on the court versus off the court? And here
Dylan
is
Harper,
every
a fucking
player in the
bucket.
league last season who logged at least 1,000 minutes charted according to those two metrics. This group here in the top right corner are the players that thrived in both of those defensive metrics. Draymond Green, Rudy Gobert, Alex Caruso, and of course, Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah.
The best defensive player in the league in just his second season. But in the future, Wemby will be competing against his peers, the players his age. After all, the kid is only 21 years old. So if we limit this chart to players no older than 25, well, yeah.
Sheesh.
Of course, winning the award once and winning it 7 times in a row are two completely different things.
Yeah, I don't
Even
know
if a
about
player
7, bro.
deserves an award, voters' fatigue may end up being his
It's
biggest
so much
obstacle.
new niggas in the
However,
league
Wemby's
now.
gap on the field
And they
may
all
just be
tough
big
as
enough to
fuck.
overcome this. In a recent survey, GMs across the NBA were asked who they felt was the best defensive player in the league. And to no one's surprise, it was Victor Wembanyama,
Yeah.
winning 80% of the votes.
Shit.
Now, what is surprising is that in the
Lou
23
Dort.
years that
Lou
this survey
Dort,
has
I
been
don't know.
conducted, no
Lou
player
Dort got some
before
good-ass
Wemby has
defense.
ever
Not
been
better than
regarded
Wemby.
as the best defender in the league with such an overwhelming majority. The highest Giannis ever got was 48% of the votes. The highest Ben Wallace ever got was 38%. KG, 44%. Kawhi, 67%. Dwight Howard, arguably the greatest defender of the 21st century, managed to get 78% of the votes after winning his third straight DPOY. And then there's Victor, entering just his 3rd season in the league. So if winning the award is just as much about convincing fans and voters of your merits as it is about the actual impact you have on the game, then you might
this
as well
all
ship the
time
award to
right here.
Wemby's house right now. But the one thing that could
Damn near.
prevent him from sweeping this award for the foreseeable future is the very reason why he didn't win it last season. The kid was dealing with an injury, he missed too many games, and he was ineligible for the award, which is a very real possibility as to why he may not end up winning it in future seasons.
Okay.
But as long as he's got 2 good knees and an 8-foot wingspan, it's hard to imagine anyone else earning the award over him for quite a while. So as crazy as this claim looks, this is a good take. Now, this next take comes from Bill Simmons in a recent podcast he did with
My fucking GOAT, man. I'm not
Zach
gonna lie.
Lowe, discussing the future
I could sit here and talk about this shit all day, but y'all niggas can also look at the Twitter. I ain't gonna lie. My GOAT. They robbed him for the MVP last year, and they gave it to SGA bitch ass. They robbed him for it 2 years ago. I forgot who they gave it to, but they robbed him for it 2 years in a row. You get what I'm saying? How does a nigga average a triple-double the whole season and don't get MVP? Right? That sound like some bullshit, because it is.
of Nikola Jokic's
That's all I'ma
legacy
speak on that
if
about right
things
now.
fall in his favor this season.
Is there a star player with a bigger legacy shift brewing on a pot on the stove than Jokic this year? Because if they win the title and he wins MVP again, I think he's indisputably one of the best 10 players ever. I
Yeah.
think that has to be.
I don't
the
know about
outcome.
10.
I just don't see
Eh?
how he's not on a top 10 list after that. He
Maybe
has-
10. Maybe.
But if he
year.
gets the second one,
Maybe.
the names he's next
Jokic
to,
one of
like,
my
next
favorite
to
players,
immediately,
bro. I
not
don't know if
next
I'm
to,
putting
like,
him
well,
10.
3 more years
Yeah,
is
he
next to
go 10.
immediately are
He ain't cracking 7
holy
though.
pantheon of NBA players.
He has to be with Bird and Magic at that point.
Yeah.
He's next to them.
Yeah.
Now, there's a really big if going on here. If Jokic
Not
can
yet,
win
at
another
least.
title this season, which in that case would
This
undoubtedly
Jokic's
be
third
paired
year
with a
or
Finals
fourth year.
MVP and another regular season MVP to go along with it, would that make
bro
him
got a
not
long
just
ass way to
top
go.
10 all time, but even creeping near top 5 territory, right up there with Bird and Magic? And to me, this is a no-brainer. But to my surprise, this was a scorching take for some fans. Many fans would still have him outside of the top 10, somewhere between 12 and 18, which is absolutely absurd. It's tough to make a top 10 list that's agreed upon, but there is a consensus top 12 that pretty much every fan agrees on. And it's these 12 players in no particular order. And when you compare Jokic's numbers and accomplishments with these guys, assuming he pulls off the season Simmons described, Jokic clearly belongs in this group and even
For
ahead
sure.
of a handful of them. There's only 3 players
That's my GOAT, man. It's not. They're not gonna show the years. I was gonna show y'all the 2 years that he got robbed. Never mind.
in NBA history who have more than 4 MVPs. Only 5 players in NBA history who have more than 2 Finals MVPs. And in terms of statistical impact, Jokic's numbers are just flat out better than anyone's. He's now the all-time leader in virtually every advanced metric and increasing his lead on the field with each season. The only thing holding him back from crashing the party at this point is championships. But that is a huge if. Winning a title is the toughest thing to do in the sport. Winning an MVP in the same season, even rarer. But a historic season like this may be in the cards for Jokic in 2026.
Bruh, I fuck with Jokic like I just said. That's my GOAT, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Nuggets, come on, I'm watching. You feel me? But bruh, you gotta stop fucking off in the off season, my nigga. If you actually got in shape and like trained, and I don't know if I'm pretty sure you do some type of training, but if you actually like locked in, not even 180% training, my nigga, you will be unstoppable. Like, there's a few people in the league that could maybe stop you, like one-on-one wise. I'm not talking about triple team and a half court wise. You feel what I'm saying? Lock in, Jokic. You can get MVP and y'all can win another ring, my nigga. Lock in.
After a busy offseason, the Nuggets have now surrounded Jokic with arguably the best roster.
Bet. Whoa. And that's exactly what I was about to say, but he said it for me in a totally opposite way I was going to say it. Bro, the Nuggets have nobody, my nigga. Aaron Gordon and Aaron Gordon dropped 50 the other night. Aaron Gordon is a decent role player, but we need a different point guard or a different guard in general. Somebody that could facilitate the ball, somebody that can make plays, somebody, you feel what I'm saying, that has the court vision, the IQ, and that we could depend on a shot when they fucking get the ball. Unfortunately to say, Jamal Murray is not that no more. He went crazy in one of the games the other day. I watched. He went crazy. But every other game, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 points. 2, 3, 4, 5 assists. What are you doing on the court for 40 minutes, my nigga? You're the starting point guard. You have the most touches on the ball. What the fuck are you doing out there? And that's what I'm saying. If we don't trade him for another point guard, we need to get another guard or versatile forward on the Nuggets. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
He's had in his career. They've added depth at the center spot with Valanciunas. They've bolstered their shooting with Tim Hardaway Jr. and they've upgraded their starting lineup with the addition of Cam Johnson.
Cam Johnson
moves that have made them one of the favorites to win the title this season, with better odds than they've had in any season since their title run in 2023. And in terms of an MVP, there is no player more perpetual and inevitable than Jokic. The guy always plays. His numbers are insane, and they haven't budged in a half a decade. His team looks to be better, so they're set up nicely to grab a top seed. And after averaging a 30-point triple-double last season and still
losing MPJ kind of hurted us though.
I wouldn't be surprised if the MVP
I think we got Vooch
and
Cam Johnson and fucking
after losing to Embiid.
I forgot who else we got last year.
In pretty much any other scenario, it would be comical
or this
to
year
hint
for
at a player having a historic season like this. But this is prime Nikola Jokic we're talking about.
Yeah.
Coming off the best individual season of his career with possibly the best roster of his career. And if
that's
he
not
could
the
pull it
best
off,
yet.
I agree with Bill.
He had a
would
better roster last year.
Be a top 10.
The fuck you talking about? MPJ and Westbrook was better. I don't even fuck with Westbrook, but I know Westbrook, MPJ. Who else we had? We just got rid of somebody else too. But them was the names that we wanted. Nah, I thought we was gonna trade fucking Westbrook for somebody decent. Nigga, we got Cam Johnson. You could have kept that. Now I appreciate you, Cam Johnson, but like Westbrook, we could have got somebody better, my nigga. That's Westbrook we talking about. And MPJ. Y'all could have put them niggas in the same trade and traded for a point guard. We got backup forwards and centers and shit. I'm just not understanding. Unless they got like some picks in the future. I'm gonna do my research later.
Player of all
I don't know if they
with
took
the likes of
picks.
Bird and Magic.
I don't know if
This
they
is a
took
great
like the
take. Now,
lottery
this
picks or
next
not.
take comes from a fan who says Joel Embiid will go down as the biggest what if in NBA history. And although I don't agree with this take, it is nice to see some Embiid appreciation every once in a while. Joel Embiid has been dragged down by injuries about as much as any
Not gonna lie,
superstar
bro.
of the 21st century.
But like that's what I'm saying. Like even this team looking pretty decent. If playoff P would lock the fuck in, they could do some. Kelly Oubre Jr. I don't think he on that team no more. They got Embiid, Tyrese Maxey. They should stack. I'm not finna think about who they should stack.
To the extent where the word retirement was being thrown around 18 months after he won an MVP. And after recent physical evaluations, it appears that we will unfortunately never see MVP caliber Embiid again. Now, I understand why a lot of people couldn't care less about the man's game. His headache-inducing play style,
just kicked that nigga in the dick.
playoff regression, the fact that he's intentionally ducked Jokic on numerous occasions. There's always something going on with Embiid. But I could recognize these faults and still see that the guy is one of the most dominant forces of his generation.
You can't fuck with Jokic.
This is a player who averaged 32 and 11 a night for a 4-season stretch. Averaged more points than minutes for an entire season. The only player to do this since Wilt Chamberlain. Less than 2 years ago, Embiid had a 23-game stretch where he averaged 40 points a game on 69% true shooting. 40 a game. A stretch that included a 40-piece on Jokic, a 50-piece on Gobert, and a 70-point, 18-rebound bomb on Wemby.
Say what Jokic had that night.
Legitimately unguardable.
20 plus with a triple-double, goddammit.
Juggernauts that not only has the capacity to anchor a defense, but is willing to do it. Two-way impact, statistically on par with Jokic for consecutive
on par.
seasons.
You see who at the top,
Somewhere
though.
buried under all that foul baiting, showboating, and grifting is a player who could dominate the game without doing any of that. But with that being said, I don't think Embiid can be the biggest what if of all time for all of those reasons. We have already seen him at the peak of his powers for multiple seasons. Insane individual numbers that never culminated into any tangible success in the postseason. Whereas other big what ifs like Derrick Rose and Bill Walton were league MVPs with playoff success, but sustained career-altering injuries before they even hit their peak. They were proven formulas who got
Can I see?
You gonna play this shit, bro?
Derrick Rose and Bill Walton were league MVPs
Shout out
with
D-Rose,
playoff
man.
success, but sustained career-altering injuries before they even hit their peak. They were proven formulas who got hurt the moment they were impacting the league. There's also the what-ifs in the form of players who had all the potential in the world, but got hurt before they could even tap into it. Greg Oden, Penny Hardaway, Brandon Roy, Grant Hill, reduced to a fraction of their abilities so early in their careers, all we were left wondering is what if they hadn't gotten hurt? Having a near career-ending injury.
Like, I be thinking about that shit, gang. What if D Rose never got hurt, bro? Like, what if D Rose never got hurt and he got traded to a team that actually had, you know what? The Bulls back then wasn't that terrible, but they wasn't good either. If you feel what I'm saying? Like, they wasn't making it to the playoffs and standing a chance, let alone winning the fucking chip. So if D Rose was healthy and he never had injuries, like, imagine what the fuck, like, if he was on a good team, never injured, bro.
Just 33 games after hoisting an MVP trophy will certainly get your name thrown into some what-if conversations. But sustaining that injury at 30 is a lot different than sustaining it at 23. For the better part of a decade, we saw the extent to which Embiid could dominate games, so there really isn't much what-if left in the tank. If anything, I would put him in the "it's a shame this guy couldn't stay healthy" category, with players like Tracy McGrady, Kawhi Leonard, Yao Ming, Amari Stoudemire, all-time talents who met their potential but couldn't put it together for more than a season or two at a time without their bodies failing them. Joel Embiid is prolifically underappreciated as a player, but I don't think he's nearly the biggest what-if in NBA history. Now, our last take comes from a fan who says the NBA is too talented, stating that the globalization of the game, the increased talent pool, and the new second apron have made teams impatient and left a lot of NBA caliber players out of a job. And although I understand the sentiment, and the NBA is certainly the most talented it's ever been, I don't think the NBA is too talented. The reason why we're now seeing so many talented, capable players miss out on roster spots is because not only has the floor for NBA talent increased drastically over the last decade, but because teams have also gotten drastically smarter over the last decade.
Yeah.
Talent alone, for the most part, is no longer enough to keep a spot in the league. Organizations are now prioritizing things like fit and a player's role and how they can contribute and blend into a system over sheer talent and skill set. And regardless of how talented you are, unless you're a superstar, if you aren't a good fit, you won't have a place in the league. This has led to a lot of ultra-talented players completely sitting out of lineups or getting relegated to the G League or overseas, and fans asking, how is that guy not in the league? And the answer usually isn't that they weren't good enough. It's that they weren't a good fit. The inverse of this is also true. Players of lesser talent can end up getting roster spots these days because they may have a specific skill set that fits what a team needs, and they're
why you
willing
play
to
a
play
clip
into
of
that.
why you play a clip of Caruso?
Players of lesser talent can end up getting roster spots these days
Chill out,
because they
Caruso.
may have a
Okay,
specific
like
skill set that fits what a team needs, and they're willing to play into that role. There used to be a time where you could say with confidence that the most talented basketball players in the world were all in the NBA. In fact, before the boom of foreign talent in an expansion league, you could argue that there was a time where the NBA had more roster spots than there were NBA caliber players. But this is no longer the case. Today, there are more players with NBA talent than there are NBA jobs, and more NBA.
Hey, the Spurs team this year is going to be a problem for a lot of teams. Champagne, Castle, Wembanyama. I put another B in that bitch. Fuck it. Wembanyama. Dylan Harper, Keldon Johnson. I forgot bro name.
Level
Like
players
they shit
not in the
stacked,
NBA than
son.
ever before. And while the talent pool continues to grow seemingly exponentially, the number of roster spots has stayed the same. But you can still find examples today of players who are so talented. DeAndre Ayton, Russell Westbrook, Ben Simmons, and on the
Damn,
other players who are
Westbrook
so
on the Kings
talented,
now?
DeAndre Ayton,
Okay.
Russell Westbrook, Ben Simmons, and on the other end, Jordan Poole, D'Angelo Russell, Zach LaVine, that teams are more than happy to pay up and have them on their roster, regardless of if their playstyle or skill set is conducive to the system. And this approach just isn't good enough to win games in today's NBA. And I think as teams continue to get smarter, we'll see less of this and see even more talent leak out of the NBA. Recently on his podcast, Jaylen Brown had a great take on this.
There's so many talented players that are not in the NBA. NBA, I don't think, is the best talent in the world currently right now. They're taking like the utility guy draft approach, where they just drafting guys that they know are not going to be stars, but will be great role players to develop. So the actually most talented players, it's a lot of talented guys that's not in the NBA right now.
I agree with that.
The game has changed. I think in the 90s and the 2000s, the best players was in the league.
Yeah.
Nowadays, in the 2020s, that is not the case.
Talent will always be the great filter of the NBA. It decides who gets a chance and who doesn't. But fit and cohesion are more important now than ever before. So I don't think the NBA is too talented. Teams have just shifted their priorities, and talent alone is no longer enough to make it in the league. But I can appreciate this take, and let me know what you think. Share your hot takes in the comments below. And as always, the hotter, the better.
Nah, W takes. I ain't like all of them, but that was a W video though.